the chimps just giving him these items.
I was just watching those moments as you read that, and it's even assembled weird. If it almost feels like the ape with the cigarette should have come after Trash Ape. Well,
she was. The lady with Frank was supposed to be the first moment.
Okay, so
Frank's disobedience was supposed to be before Lisa's.
Again,
I
disobedience in threes.
I guarantee you they did it this way because the first ape was a gorilla, then they did chimpanzee, and then another gorilla, so that you didn't think that the trash gorilla was Frank that got pulled away. Maybe. And now how has he got a job again lighting cigarettes for people?
I just really, to your point, Todd, just looking at this, Caesar is in the basement or this washroom, wherever it's supposed to be, taking knives. And then we cut to outside and Caesar's suddenly behind in the cafe.
Right.
He signals to the ape outside. I'm like, girl, you just teleported.
Well, and then imagine that the cigarette gorilla, if he defies,
Frank.
Okay, Frank,
he has a name.
If he defies him, the lighting of the cigarette, and then maybe in that last minute that Caesar looks down and sees the knife beside him and even nods toward the knife, and then if he were to steal it, then we've established that they're stealing knives and things like that. Then you cut forward to that scene. These things make sense. Then you can even build on to that whenever little goofy chimp could see Frank walking in with a big knife and the approval. That's how you build that sequence. Characters have to have reasons for what they do. As it is, there is no reason other than that we need them to do this.
Well, I mean, they get murder boners anytime somebody brings a cleaver in. That's all they want to do is look, big sharp knives. Look, yeah.
I'm sorry. This is now a very different movie that we went to murder boners.
We're making some really big leaps in these moments, and I can tell you that Dane had all of the stuff in a different order. And so I'm really curious how much was done in editing, because Caesar really does magically go from outside to under this washroom to back outside again. And I don't know, this is almost one of those scenes you would love to have somebody come in and recut.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. It does feel like they for whatever reason felt like, hey, we've got to interconnect these. What I would have liked to have seen, like in that moment, and any of the moments actually, where Caesar is using his telepathic abilities to tell them to rebel, even the insertion of people walking in front of Caesar so that there's another environment. So he's within the environments. But as it is, every shot of this is a clean, weird shot of him just looking at people. Were he to be walking into it and interacting.
He comes up to the rebellious ape and, touches their hand, and then,
anything.
They nod at each other, and as Caesar's walking off, then the rebellion starts, whatever.
It just doesn't work with Caesar just looking. You know what? I take that back. I actually think those shots are really powerful. I think they're very cool and compelling shots. Were we to have true interactions that led to that he then Caesar can learn, all I need to do is simply be seen, and they know. What if Caesar was doing all this from the control room? He's looking at monitors and watching the rebellion as they're happening instead of just, nodding at people and stuff. He's I don't know. I like him out in it more than a passive thing.
He sees the rebellions happening, and as he's doing that, he's like changing the cameras so that they see something else going on, so that the humans don't see.
Wait, now you have him commanding, you have him directing the TV show now?
Yeah. Came out.
Well, again, it's very cool ideas that are just oddly executed, and I think Richard's got it right that they obviously shot it one way, intended this, and it could be. I think that's probably a pretty good idea, Sean, of why they decided to separate those two gorillas. Again, it goes what I said before about how you often will cut from nighttime to stark day so that it has a feeling of changing. You usually try to put characters in different clothing, or you don't. If you have brunette characters, you don't put the brunette character in the next scene. You do something where it's a blonde so that your eye and you visually understand I'm somewhere else. Why don't we have more orangutans in this, by the way? Why don't we see any orangutans
they don't
out
have
there?
any orangutans rebelling in this sequence, I don't think.
I think it would have been nice for Frank to have been an orangutan instead of a gorilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Dane mentions orangutans, but there's none really in the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this idea that it starts with a leader class moving into the intelligence class, the scientific community moving into the kind of like the worker. We don't get that see that fall. We largely just have chimps and gorillas.
I think that's one of the interesting things again with the new films is how well they create the different sex. You know, you've got the chimps, the orangutans. We don't ever really see a baboon, but gorillas and how they interact. You know, I was just saying this to my wife the other day when we were talking about movies that when you have a character in a scene, the characters that surround them should each pull out a different trait from that character. They should allow that character to be exposed, and that's how they seem well-rounded whenever they you and I, we all interact differently with different people, but they don't give Caesar a way to be anything more than just one-note messianic weirdo in the corner. Were they to give him orangutans who are smart enough to rebel, but maybe by the end are questioning his methods, then that's an interesting, you know, when you get into rebellion, how many times do we see the stories, even very biblical ideas of why does Judas betray Christ? Because he doesn't like the way things are going and things like you present these characters in there to make it more complex, and as it is, it's a little flat because they're all just sheep following him.
And building hopefully building upon that a little bit, this idea that they're sheep following. It's also a very, very hard turn in my mind for the character Caesar because he was so soft and weak and weepy in the beginning of the film. And we know that he's seen some horrors, but it would have been interesting to have it start off where we actually see the uprising that's kind of happening around him already. And then he begins to take that role
right
as he realizes what's going. And it gives a reason why Breck is so paranoid. We just don't see – we're getting these announcements over the intercom about unattended apes, on this, on that, and it's supposed to set up what's happening around Caesar, but we never really feel it or see it as much as we should. And then him to move into a role because that role is being already needs to be created makes more sense than him just suddenly being flipped the coin. I'm suddenly an asshole. Everybody should burn. It should all come down.
Well, it comes back to
I hate all the apes that are doing all the work for us. So let's get rid of them so that we have to do all our work.
It comes back to, and how many times we end up talking Star Wars in this, but it's very similar to the idea of how and why Anakin flips to the dark side is executed in those films. There's nothing that says it just occurs. Now, at least Caesar with this, we understand, because his father has died, the pressure already of the injustice he sees towards the apes. However, his arc to get there is so rapid that it doesn't have any resonance beyond the fact that we know why he's there.
So do you guys want to do maybe an animated series that we could insert in between these films?
Wow.
About the servant apes and their own struggles and the uprising and why Lisa might be smarter than she should be. And we could just kind of build that up so Caesar has a reason to flip.
Holy shit, Richard. That is a freaking genius idea. I mean, what would we call it?
I don't know.
Clone Wars of the Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you definitely, I mean, if you have, that's where that has worked to, fix plot holes for that film series. This is a very rich idea. It's just so quickly forced in there that were it thought out a little bit more, man, you would have, not only would you be commenting about the race riots and whatnot that were happening at that era, but you'd be commenting about mankind in general.
Mm-hmm.
Can we not? I think we're all missing the most important part of this minute, though. I mean, seriously, she's got a fucking joint in her hand. That is a green goddamn cigarette that she's lighting up.
It's a futuristic cigarette, Sean. It's a futuristic cigarette.
No, they're smoking weed in the future, man.
How did I know that Sean would turn it to weed? But that's why we love Sean. All right, have you guys got anything else?
No, that's it for me.
Okay. We will be back tomorrow. Everybody, please stay safe. Take care of yourself. Love your family and your loved ones. See you later.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
The Minute of the Apes.